Heartwarming reunion. Millionaire discovers his hidden college sweetheart, driving his taxi. Incredible twist of fate. Andrew stared out at the rain-soaked New York streets, feeling the weight of $1 million penthouse that felt more like a prison. At 38, he was a self-made millionaire, living the dream that so many aspired to achieve. Yet, inside him churned an emptiness that echoed louder with every tick of the clock. He had traded in laughter for board meetings, family dinners for lavish parties. And in doing so, he sensed he'd left a part of himself behind. He thought of Jake, his younger brother, still living in the old neighborhood, still connected to the roots they both once shared. The rift between them felt wider than ever. As rain drummed against the taxi's windshield, Andrew made a last-minute decision. He hailed a cab, hoping for a brief escape, a glimpse of normalcy outside his high-powered life. The door swung open, and he slid into the back seat. But when he looked up, the driver's face took his breath away. Mia, his college sweetheart, the girl who had once held his heart. After nearly 2 decades, here she was, smiling shyly in the rearview mirror. "Andrew?" she said, surprised. Mia, wow. Their past hitched a ride with them, thickening the air with memories. Old laughter bubbled up as they exchanged stories. Mia shared her struggles, the resilience she built caring for her aging parents, and the mishaps she faced in starting her taxi business. Andrew listened, his heart pounding. While his life was filled with excess money, fancy dinners, and ostentatious skyscrapers, Mia's life was rooted in community, overcoming hardship and fighting for stable ground. "Do you ever regret it?" she asked softly, gauging his silence. He hesitated, acknowledging the truth. Guilt gnawed at him. Success didn't just bring wealth. It seemed to isolate him from those he once held dear. He defended his choices, but inside, doubt flickered. Mia's eyes glimmered. "Success isn't just about what you have. It's about who you lift up along the way." Just then, their conversation sparked an old argument. Andrew's ego pushed back against her words. "It's easy to say that when you're not living in luxury," he shot back, irritation rising. Mia was unfazed. She refused to let him sidestep responsibility. Each word peeled back layers of Andrew's facade, reminding him of his childhood joys and unconditional love from his family values long buried under material success. Suddenly, as they passed a community center filled with laughing kids, a moment of clarity washed over Andrew. There, against the backdrop of their heated exchange, he caught sight of community, resilience, and connection, a stark contrast to his lonely life. Mia caught his gaze, both of them panting in the heavy rain, the tension rising like steam. The taxi slowed, and silence stretched. There was something raw, something unfinished between them. Andrew felt the stirrings of something he thought lost forever. Hope. He opened his mouth to speak, to bridge the divide, but just then, a loud crash echoed outside, jarring them both. The moment hung in the air like the tension before a storm, leaving Andrew with the unimaginable question hanging between them. Would he continue his lonely ascent in the world of excess, or step into a new reality alongside Mia? The possibilities vibrated while their hearts raced, both waiting to see what came next. The crash outside jolted Andrew back to reality. He turned to the window, his heart racing. A delivery truck had collided with a parked car, sending up a spray of rain and debris, making the world outside look chaotic. But inside the taxi, time stood still. Mia's expression shifted from surprise to concern. "Should we check it out?" she asked, gripping the steering wheel tightly. "No, let us just stay away. Call the police if you need to," Andrew replied, the adrenaline amplifying his protective instincts. What was happening to him? Was he really ready to reach back for human connection? The rain pounded harder against the taxi roof, filling the silence between them with a steady, drumming rhythm. Andrew's mind raced back through the years. Each success he'd attained felt hollow. Each party he'd attended echoed with the laughter of a crowd he couldn't really connect with. What was it all worth when he had lost touch with the real joys of life? "Mia," he began, his voice steady yet soft. "Your life sounds so fulfilling." She smiled wistfully. "It has its challenges," but I wouldn't trade it for anything. It taught me about love, community, and myself. Andrew felt a pang of envy. He couldn't remember the last time he felt that much purpose in his life. Instead, he was caught in an empty cycle of meetings and evening galas. I feel lost, he confessed, the admission hanging heavy in the small space. I've chased the wrong things, I think. Mia turned to him, her gaze piercing through the uncertainty in his eyes. It's never too late to change paths. You can reconnect with your roots. Start over. But was he even worthy of a second chance? The thought made him swallow hard. The weight of his past choices bore down on him. The rift with Jake grew. The guilt of shunning his family remained unresolved. He felt anchored by remorse, trapped in the gilded cage he had built if sensing his turmoil. Mia shifted slightly in her seat. You shouldn't be afraid to reach out to Jake, you know. He misses you, even if it doesn't seem like it. Andrew's heart ached at the reminder. Was it that simple? Just a call to his brother? But pride and embarrassment wrapped their tendrils around him, squeezing tighter with every acknowledgement of his solitude. Mia's voice interrupted his spiraling thoughts. You know, the last time I heard from him, he spoke about how proud he was of you. But he also seemed hurt. Maybe he feels replaced. Her words lit a fire in him, a desperate need to reconnect with a brother he once shared dreams with. Can you give me your number? I want to talk, he blurted out, trying to shake off the rush of anxiety. Of course. But I want you to promise me something, she said with an intensity that made him hold his breath. Promise me you won't just reach out and make yourself feel better. Do it because you truly want to heal that bond. He nodded, swallowing the lump in his throat. The taxi was quiet now, save for the rhythm of the rain, and in that silence, the hope of rebuilding began to take root. Mia handed him a slip of paper with her number. Their fingers brushed, and for a fleeting moment, sparks ignited between the memories of old feelings fast-forwarding to that moment in time. The walls he had built seemed to crumble just a little. Suddenly, the buzzing of Andrew's phone interrupted the calm. It was a text from Jake. Just a simple, hey? But to Andrew, it felt monumental, like a lifeline thrown into turbulent waters. Mia glanced back at him, her eyes brimming with understanding. What will you say? His fingers hovered above the screen as he contemplated his next words. In that moment, everything shifted. He was ready to choose connection over isolation. Before he could hit send, the taxi started to move again, the world splashing by in bursts of color. The tension in the air buzzed with possibility, electric and alive. Andrew felt a rush, a blend of fear and excitement that, as they pulled away from the accident, he finally typed, "Hey, I'd like to talk." Andrew looked at Mia. Excitement mingled with apprehension in his heart. What would Jake say? Would this bridge the rift? And as he hit the send button, a new thought flickered through him. Could a simple conversation change everything? Would courage lead him back to the family he had lost? The road ahead was uncertain, but for the first time in a long time, Andrew felt like he might have a chance. Then he turned to Mia and smiled. Thank you. For everything. But as she returned his gaze, a crack of uncertainty creased her brow, leaving Andrew to wonder, what if rebuilding the bond with his brother also meant navigating feelings he thought he'd buried alongside their past? The taxi glided through the rain-soaked streets as they navigated the chaos. Andrew's heart raced. He had sent the text, but now uncertainty loomed larger than the downpour outside. Would Jake respond? Would he even want to hear from him after all this time apart? Mia kept glancing at him, concern flickering in her eyes. You okay? She asked, her voice cutting through his spiraling thoughts. Yeah, just thinking, he replied, forcing a smile that felt a bit too stretched. The moments passed slowly, each one heavy with potential. Their eyes briefly met as she focused on the road, and for a moment, Andrew sensed a kindred spirit in her, someone who understood the weight of regret. It made him wonder what might unfold if he truly opened up. Do you ever feel like you're living in someone else's story? He asked, surprising himself. Like, I've been chasing success, but I don't even know if it's what I really want. Mia nodded, a knowing expression on her face. Sometimes we lose ourselves in the noise. It's easy to forget who we are when we're caught up in the whirlwind. The rain finally began to lessen, but Andrew felt the storm within him brewing still. What if reaching out to Jake forced him to confront the parts of himself he had spent years avoiding? Would love and acceptance be waiting on the other side, or an avalanche of hurt and disappointment? Suddenly, his phone buzzed again. His heart leapt as he grabbed it. There was a reply from Jake. Sure, when? His breath caught, exhilaration and fear intertwining. A small victory, but it felt monumental. Each word was like a stone removed from the wall between them. Wow, Mia exclaimed, catching a glimpse of his phone. That's a good sign. What do you want to say? He stared down at the screen, awash in thoughts and feelings. Let us meet up? Maybe grab a coffee? Sounds perfect, she encouraged softly, and Andrew felt a rush of hope flood through him. He typed quickly, his fingers flying across the screen. How about tomorrow afternoon? His heart danced as Jake replied within moments. Yeah, let us do it. Looking forward to it. Looking forward to it. The phrase echoed in his mind, filling him with a strange warmth. It struck him how those simple words could mend such deep fractures. Are you ready for this? Mia asked, her voice gentle yet powerful, as if she were holding space for him. I don't know, he sighed, revealing to her the fear that still snaked around his heart. What if he doesn't want to see me? She turned, her eyes steady. That's a possibility, but what if he does? You have to take that chance. You owe it to yourself and him. Andrew looked out the window, the city's lights glimmering through the rain. It felt surreal, like the dawning of a new day, light breaking through the clouds of despair he had allowed to linger too long. He could feel a shift inside, like something deep was awakening. Yeah, I need to do this, he said out loud, more to himself than M.I.N.A.S. They approached a red light. Mia parked the taxi, and for a moment, they sat in comfortable silence. Andrew's heart pounded, but not from fear. This was anticipation, a grudging excitement that he hadn't felt in years. Could it lead to a reunion that would turn his life around? Suddenly, an idea struck him. You know, Mia, I think I'd like to come back to this taxi, maybe as a passenger. Who knows, right? She smiled, her enthusiasm infectious. You should. It might give you a new perspective. Plus, we could talk more. The light turned green, and the taxi rolled forward again. As they made their way to the next destination, Andrew felt the weight of his past lift a little. An unexpected sense of freedom swelled within him. He realized he wasn't just talking about a taxi ride. He was talking about taking the leap toward a future that felt like it could be brighter, but deep down, questions lingered. What if confronting the past opened wounds he wasn't ready to face? Would he find forgiveness or only more regret? The taxi pulled up outside a coffee shop. Andrew took a breath, steeling himself for what was next. He glanced at Mia, who offered a supportive nod. With a final glance at his phone, he thought about the upcoming meet with Jake. Here goes nothing, he whispered, stepping out into the rain, his heart pounding with hope and fear. And as he moved, the weight of his choices pressed in again. What awaited him within those cafe walls? Would he be stepping into a healing conversation or a battle of emotions unresolved? The warm aroma of freshly brewed coffee enveloped Andrew as he stepped inside the cafe. It was a cozy place with soft lighting and mismatched chairs that invited you to sit for a while. His eyes darted around, searching for a familiar face. As he approached the counter, he noticed a couple seated in a corner booth, their laughter brightening the air. A pang of nostalgia hit him, reminding him of simpler days. Andrew ordered his drink, but everything felt muted as his thoughts spun back to Jake. Was he already here? Would he walk through the door at any moment? The anticipation twisted like a knot in his stomach. Andrew, a voice pierced through his reverie. Heart racing, he turned toward the sound. There was Jake, looking just as he remembered, but with a few subtle differences. His hair was slightly tousled, and there were faint lines of experience around his eyes. Those eyes locked onto Andrew's, full of uncertainty and perhaps a hint of hope. Jake approached slowly, a slight smile breaking through the tentative air. Hey, it's good to see you, he said, the warmth of his voice washing over Andrew. "Yeah, you too," Andrew replied, surprised at how easily those words flowed. They sat down across from each other, the coffee steaming between them, a silent bridge connecting their past with the present. For a moment, neither spoke, letting the air thrum with unspoken sentiments. "Nice place you picked," Jake finally said, glancing around. "Brings back memories." "Yeah," Andrew murmured, his heart pounding at the implications. "Memories of us." Jake's expression shifted, a flash of vulnerability crossing his features. "I didn't think you'd want to see me after everything that happened," he confessed, eyes dropping to his coffee. Real hurt flickered beneath the surface, raw and unsettling. Andrew felt a wave of understanding crash over him. "I didn't know how to reach out. I thought about you all the time, but I wasn't sure if it was just me holding on to the past." Jake looked up, almost surprised. "You did?" "Yeah," Andrew admitted, the truth spilling out. "I never stopped caring, you know." Silence enveloped them again. The coffee shop buzzed around them, the clinking of cups, the chatter of other patrons, but to Andrew, it felt like they were in their own world. Then Jake spoke up, his voice thicker with emotion. "I missed you, and I'm sorry for how everything ended. I regrets linger." "I get it," Andrew replied, leaning forward, the distance between them an aching reminder of what had been lost. "I regret how things ended too. We were so young, and I didn't know how to handle it, the pressure, everything." A spark of recognition passed between them, a shared understanding of the weight they both carried. The distant echoes of their laughter mingled with the heavier tones of their sorrow, winding into a bittersweet tapestry. "Maybe we can start over," Jake said softly, his gaze unflinching this time. "Not just as friends, but whatever else we want it to be." Hope lightened Andrew's heart, igniting something deep within. "I do like that," he said, his voice steady. "But it's going to take work. We can't just ignore the past." "Agreed," Jake replied, a tentative smile surfacing. It felt like the first step into the light after a long night. They both knew the journey ahead would be complicated, but also rich with potential for healing. As they took tentative sips of coffee, Andrew realized something important. This coffee shop, this moment, it was a new beginning. But just as he began to feel the hope swell fully, the door swung open abruptly. A rush of cold air swept in, and a figure brushed past him, catching Andrew off guard. "Hey, watch it!" Jake called out. The momentary harmony shattered. Andrew turned, heart racing once more. Who was this new arrival, disrupting their fragile connection? And what would they bring into this delicate moment? Andrew turned slowly, his heart pounding with unexpected trepidation. The figure was tall, wearing a bulky gray coat that obscured their form. There was something unsettling about the way they moved through the cafe, as if they were searching for someone, scanning the room like a hawk. "Who is that?" Andrew whispered to Jake, unable to tear his gaze away. Jake squinted slightly, leaning forward. "I don't know. I've never seen them here before." The stranger approached the counter, ordering with a curt nod, their voice low and urgent. Andrew felt an inexplicable anxiety prickle at the back of his neck. Something was off about this person, but he couldn't quite put his finger on it. "Do you think we should?" he started, but stopped as his curiosity blurred with a sense of foreboding. "Let us just see what happens," Jake replied, his voice steady, but his fingers tapping nervously against the table. As the stranger waited for their drink, Andrew cast quick glances their way, analyzing every feature. Dark hair peeking from beneath a wool hat, wide shoulders, a fierce brow. Suddenly, the stranger turned, their eyes locking onto Andrew's for a fleeting moment, and a wave of recognition washed over him. "Wait a minute," Andrew said, his breath hitching. "Is that?" But before Andrew could finish, the stranger shifted their focus away and stepped outside. Instinctively, Andrew stood up, compelled to follow. "Where are you going?" Jake asked, startled. "I need to know." Before he could think twice, Andrew pushed through the door, the chilly air hitting him like a splash of cold water. He quickly spotted the stranger leaning against a nearby taxi, checking their phone. "Excuse me," Andrew called out, his heart racing. "Can I talk to you?" The stranger turned slowly, their expression unreadable. As the face came into view, Andrew's stomach flipped with disbelief. It was someone from his past, someone he thought he'd never see again. Emily? He breathed out, the name slipping from his lips like a prayer. Her eyes widened in recognition. And just like that, the world fell away. Andrew? It was a whisper, yet it carried years of unspoken history. Jake stepped outside, confusion etched on his face. "What is going on?" he asked, glancing from Andrew to the stranger. Andrew barely heard him, lost in the moment. "What are you doing here?" After all this time, I thought Emily took a step closer, but hesitation lingered in her stance. "I know it's been a long time. I just moved back to town," she explained, her voice trembling slightly. "Wow, I can't believe it," he replied, excitement mingling with anxiety. "How have you been? Are you okay?" "I'm okay. Just trying to get my life together." She glanced back at the taxi, then back at him. "It's a long story." Jake's presence seemed to linger at the edge of Andrew's awareness, but he was too captivated to turn back. "I'd love to hear it. Can we talk?" A tense silence hung between them, charged with memories both cherished and painful. Emily bit her lip, uncertainty shadowing her features. "I'd like that," she finally said, glancing at the taxi again before focusing on Andrew. "But it can't be here, too many eyes." Jake shifted impatiently beside Andrew, the weight of the situation dawning on him. "Maybe we should step back inside." "No," Andrew said quickly, urgency seeping into his words. "This is important. Emily, where can we go?" She took a deep breath, glancing back down the street before meeting Andrew's gaze with a resolved look in her eyes. "There's a park nearby." Andrew nodded, excitement and apprehension coursing through him. "Let us go then." As they walked, Andrew could feel Jake's frustration simmering beside him, but he was lost in the whirlwind of emotions stirred by Emily's presence. She had reappeared at a time when he and Jake were trying to redefine their path forward. What would this reunion mean? Would they rekindle something long lost? Or would it complicate everything exactly when it was finally starting to mend? Questions spun wildly in Andrew's mind. Tension danced in the air between him and Emily. It felt like the calm before storm. Then, as they approached the park entrance, a chilling thought struck Andrew. What if Emily was harboring secrets that could change everything? Would he dare to delve into the past, even at the risk of losing what he was starting to rebuild with Jake? "Are you ready for this?" he wondered aloud, glancing at Emily. Her eyes sparkled with something unnameable, as if she, too, sensed the weight of the moment. "I don't know," she admitted, a playful smile breaking through her uncertainty. "But I'm here now. We can't go back." As they stepped into the park, Andrew braced himself. No matter what revelations lay ahead, one thing was clear. Everything was about to change again. The park was alive with the sounds of rustling leaves and distant laughter. Andrew couldn't help but be drawn in by the vibrant colors of fall, but everything felt muted, overshadowed by the weight of the moment. Here they were, amidst the changing season, trying to figure out what had been left behind long ago. Emily led the way to a small, secluded bench tucked away beneath an old oak tree. As they sat down, Jake hung back, his posture tense, arms crossed tightly over his chest. The atmosphere buzzed with unspoken words and a yearning to bridge the past with the present. "Isn't this a nice spot?" Emily said, glancing around. Yet, Andrew could feel her eyes shift back to him, searching for reassurance. "It is," he replied, trying to lighten the mood, but his heart raced. "So you moved back? I can't believe you're here. What has it been? 5 years?" "More like 6, she admitted, laughter catching her throat. But the smile faltered, and her gaze dropped. "I thought about calling you, reaching out, but it just felt too hard." "Hard? Why?" he asked, his voice trembling slightly with desperate interest. "What happened?" Emily took a deep breath, her fingers twisting a loose thread on her coat. "After everything that happened after us, it felt like I was starting over everywhere. I couldn't just show up out of nowhere. It took me a long time to feel like I had the right to." Andrew's heart sank at her confession. For years, he had played moments in his mind when he could have reached out, when things could have been different. You always had that right, Em. It wasn't he, just you and me. It was us together. The words left his mouth before he could think through the implications. But there were reasons for what happened, Andrew. I was lost, making choices that took me down paths I never wanted to walk. I thought about you more than you can imagine, but I didn't know how to face you, she said, her voice barely above a whisper. Andrew's mind raced, piecing together fragments of their history, of the lost dreams they had shared. Memories flooded back, the laughter, the late-night conversations, the love that felt so vibrant yet so fragile. I want to know, he said firmly, why now? Why show up after all this time? Another gust of wind rustled the leaves above them, amplifying the silence that stretched like a taut string between them. Emily finally looked up, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. I thought I was ready, Andrew. I did try to forget you, but it never worked. And then, well, things got complicated when I moved back. The taxi I was driving, it's renewing my spirit, but it led me back to places Jake shifted beside them, the frustration still heavy in the air. Listen, we should probably just let us talk. Andrew snapped, the abruptness shocking even himself. But this was Emily. After so long, this was their moment. Emily nodded, acknowledging Jake's presence with a slight wince. It's okay. Just give us a minute, she said softly. Andrew turned back to her, finding courage in her gaze. What do you mean by complicated? What are you afraid of? A shadow flickered across her face. There are things I haven't told you, things I wish I could erase. Andrew felt the pit in his stomach tighten. Was she hiding something dark? Like what? Those two words felt heavy, laden with anticipation. But before she could respond, footsteps approached them from behind the path. A couple strolled by, laughing and teasing one another, the kind of laughter laced with love and intimacy. Andrew looked at Emily, their past hanging above them like a fragile spiderweb, poised to break at any moment. Can we talk somewhere else? She asked suddenly, scanning the area. He nodded, feeling the urgency of their moment shift yet again. Sure. As they rose, there was a strange feeling churning within him. What was Emily not saying? The unspoken hung in the air, heavy with tension. And with every step, something nagged at him. What was it that could shatter the tentative bond they were starting to rebuild? Let us go to the old fountain, he suggested, knowing it was secluded and full of memories that could either heal or haunt. All right, Emily said quietly, her expression a mix of apprehension and hope. Yet as they turned to head deeper into the park, Andrew felt a spark of fear. Could the past truly be ignited again? What did Emily come back with? And could what lay ahead be worth the risks they both faced? Would he like the answers she had to show him, or would he wish he never asked? The distant sound of water splashing gently in the old fountain grew louder as they approached, filling the silence that hung between them. The quaint stone structure stood like a sentinel, surrounded by vibrant flowers that seemed to be doing their best to maintain summer's warmth amidst the chill of fall. Andrew felt a mix of nostalgia and anxiety well up inside of him. As they reached the fountain, Emily hesitated at its edge, her fingers tracing the rough, cool stone. It used to be her spot, remember? She asked softly, a hint of a smile flickering across her face. We come here to escape everything. Yeah, he replied, his voice hoarse. It felt like our little secret. The memories flooded back, hiding from prying eyes, sharing whispered dreams and stolen kisses beneath the stars. But now, each recollection came wrapped in uncertainty. I can't help but wish Emily's voice trailed off, her gaze distant as if she could see through time. I don't want to ruin what's left of us. Andrew took a step closer, raising his hand as if to bridge the distance. What happened, Em? You keep saying there's something you haven't told me. Where are you hiding? She turned, meeting his eyes, and the weight of her gaze was almost too much to bear. The reason I left, it's not just about our breakup. It's personal. It's what happened after. I thought I could deal with it on my own. But being back here with you, it makes everything feel more real, and I'm scared. Scared of what? He pressed, desperately seeking clarity amidst the chaos. Scared of dragging you back into my mess, she admitted, her voice trembling. I thought I had it all figured out, but it just feels like it's unraveling again. Her vulnerability pierced through Andrew's chest. All he wanted was to hold her, to assure her that they could face it together. Whatever it is, we'll face it together. You don't have to carry the burden alone. Tears brimmed in her eyes, and for a moment, Andrew felt as if they were back in their old world, the one filled with dreams, laughter, and limitless possibilities. But then reality crept back in like an unwelcome chill. You said there were reasons, Emily. I need to understand. What happened? The tension in the air grew thick, each word lingering like smoke from a dying fire. It's complicated, Andrew. I found myself in a position, a place I thought I'd never end up in. It changed me, shaped me into someone I barely recognize. The distant laughter from the park felt intrusive, a stark contrast to the heaviness of their moment. Andrew felt his heart racing. What do you mean? Were you involved in something dangerous? Emily shook her head, her voice cracking. Not dangerous, but painful. I got caught up in things I should have avoided. I lost control. I lost myself. His mind raced. Could this explain her sudden departure? He wanted to reach for her, to protect her, but fear of what lay ahead stopped him cold. How am I supposed to help if you don't tell me? She took a deep breath, wincing as if readying herself for a strike. There was a situation that spiraled out of control. And when it did, I feared coming back mostly because of you. Her words hung between them, unfinished. Andrew's world tilted slightly. Who was this other person? What had she faced? Emily, he started, but she cut him off. Just let me finish. This isn't just about us, she exclaimed, her voice rising with urgency. It involves others, people who could hurt you if they found out that I was back, that we were talking. Andrew felt a shock run down his spine. What do you mean? But she hesitated, her expression wavering, trapped between wanting to protect him and the need to reveal the truth. Andrew's heart raced, the air around them heavy with unspoken fears. He could see the storm brewing inside her, the fight of wanting to reveal, yet fearing the repercussions. Would this be the moment that brought them closer, or the chasm that pulled them apart? As they locked eyes, a flicker of vulnerability crossed her face. Andrew, if I tell you everything, there's no going back. Are you sure you want to know? The weight of her question loomed larger than all the uncharted memories stacked between them. What had she gotten herself into? It felt like a crossroads, each path leading into uncharted territory. Would he be brave enough to face the truth of her past, no matter how dark it might be? He took a breath, steadied his resolve. I need to know him. Otherwise, we can never truly move forward. And as he said those words, something in him shifted. Hope wrestled with fear, and at that moment, Andrew knew he was ready to dive headfirst into her secret. But would the revelation shatter the fragile bond they had begun to rebuild, or could it bond them even tighter? The moment stretched like a rubber band, taut and electric. Emily's eyes searched Andrew's face, a mixture of fear and hope reflected in her gaze. Okay, but you need to promise me something, she said, her voice barely above a whisper. Anything, he replied, his heart pounding in his chest. Just tell me. If this gets too heavy, if you feel like it's more than you can handle, you walk away. You promise me that? Andrew swallowed hard. He wasn't sure if he could promise her anything if it meant losing her again. I promise. But we're in this together, Em. Her lips trembled with a slight smile, though the weight of their conversation lingered. I've spent the last few years trying to forget, but it's not something that just fades. She took a deep breath, trembling as she began to unravel the tightly wound thread of her story. After I left, I got into a relationship that felt safe at first, but turned toxic. I thought I was okay, that I could manage it. But he was never who he said he was. Andrew felt bile rise in his throat. The thought of her being with someone who caused her pain made his fists clench. What do you mean? What did he do? He controlled everything. My time, my choices. He made me feel small, insignificant. I lost track of who I was, she admitted, tears slipping down her cheeks. I wanted to escape, but every time I would try, he would pull me back in with promises. Emily paused, her fingers digging into the rough stone of the fountain. It got really dark, Andrew. There were nights I was terrified. I thought I might never be free again. The floral scent of the garden around them seemed to fade away, replaced by the suffocating reality of Emily's words. You don't have to go through this alone, he urged gently. How did you get away? She looked away, the guilt flooding her expression. I had to do something I swore I'd never do. I reached out for help, but I didn't expect it would come at such a high cost. Andrew breathed, struggling with the implications of her admission. What cost? I had to make a difficult decision. I left things behind, people who I cared about. I was scared that if they found out I was free, they would come after me. That's why I stayed away. Why didn't he come back to you? I thought it would keep you safe. His heart ached at the thought of her carrying this burden alone. You should have let me help you, he whispered, frustration mingling with compassion. I thought I was protecting you, she said, her voice cracking. Andrew stepped forward, a fierce determination in his eyes. Emily, you don't have to protect me from your past anymore. Let me be a part of your present. We can face this whatever it is together. But just as hope began to sparkle in her eyes, the sound of footsteps shuffled closer. They both turned, startled, to see a figure emerging from the trees. The face was vaguely familiar, yet it sent a chill down Andrew's spine. Emily? Is that really you? The voice cut through the air like a knife, filled with disbelief and a dark undertone. As the man stepped into the light, Andrew felt the tension in Emily's body stiffen beside him. The shadows from her past were coming to claim her. Who is he? Andrew demanded, his heart racing again. That's the part one didn't want to tell you, she stuttered, eyes widening in panic. And in that moment, Andrew realized their fragile moment of reunion was about to be shattered by the very past she had feared revealing. Would the truth bring them closer together or tear them apart forever? Emily took a step back, instinctively seeking refuge behind the fountain. Her pulse raced, each beat a drum echoing in her ears. The man before them was not just a ghost from her past. He was a living reminder of everything she had fought to escape. Emily, he said again, now with a forced calmness that felt anything but reassuring. I thought you were gone for good. Look at you, you look so different. Jack, she breathed, the name hanging in the air like a curse. Andrew felt a surge of protectiveness. Do you know this guy? He couldn't keep the tension out of his voice. Emily nodded, her gaze locked onto Jack's face, filled with dread and anger. He was the one who controlled me. I thought I'd left him behind. So you decided to come back? After everything? Jack smirked, his eyes glinting with a mix of disbelief and something darker. I would thought you'd be too scared. Scared? I'm not scared anymore. Emily's voice wavered, but a newfound strength shone through. She turned to Andrew, desperately seeking his reassurance. I'm not that person anymore. Jack took a step forward, invading her space. But you know I'd find you. I always do. You think you can just run away from me? Andrew stepped between them, feeling every muscle in his body tense. You need to back off. She doesn't owe you anything. Jack chuckled, a low, unsettling sound. Is that right? And who might you be? Her knight in shining armor. He leaned in, sneering. You really want to protect her? She just came crawling back because she couldn't handle it on her own. Emily's heart raced as anger twisted in her stomach. You don't get to do this to me anymore, she shouted, her voice cutting through the initial shock. She felt Andrew's presence like a shield, grounding her in a moment that felt surreal and twisted. Jack raised an eyebrow, clearly unruffled. You think just because you found some guy, you're safe? You're still my problem, and I'll always have my ways to find you. Andrew's fists clenched, ready to confront the menace that loomed in front of them. You don't scare her, and you won't scare me, he said, his voice deep and steady. We'll go to the police. You have no power over her. Emily felt the strength in Andrew's words, but she knew better. You don't understand, she said, shaking her head. This isn't just some random threat. He is not going to just walk away. Jack laughed, and it sent a chill down her spine. That's right, Em. I'm part of your past, and I'm not done with you yet. With that, Emily's heart sank. The shadows of her past had never been so close, not so tangible. The fear was back, flooding her mind with memories she'd thought she'd banished. She looked at Andrew. His expression was a mix of anger and concern, but time was slipping away like sand through her fingers. "Let us just go," she whispered to Andrew, desperation creeping in her voice. "I can't do this here." As they turned to leave, she could feel Jack's eyes boring into her back. "Run all you want," he called out, "but you'll never be free." The instant they reached the edge of the garden, Andrew pulled her close. I won't let him hurt you again," he vowed, his grip firm. Andrew, her voice trembled, half relieved and half terrified. "What if he does come after me? What if he finds me again?" He took a deep breath and held her gaze. "We'll figure it out. Together. But we need a plan. We have to be smart about this." Just then, they both heard the rustle of leaves behind them. Emily's heart dropped. No, it can't be in the distance. A dark figure loomed, watching them with piercing eyes. "Emily," Andrew whispered urgently, "what is happening? Who is that?" And in that moment, Emily felt the grip of fear tightening around her throat. The past was winding its way back into her life, and this time, there was no turning back. As the figure stepped closer, she realized that the nightmare was just beginning. What had she really set in motion? Would she ever escape the shadows lurking behind her? The park had transformed into a battleground, a place where past and present collided, demanding answers and retribution. Andrew's heart raced as he pulled Emily behind a cluster of trees, shielding her from the encroaching danger. He wasn't just fearful for her. He was determined to protect her, to stand up against the ghosts that seemed to have risen from their shared history. "Who is that?" he demanded, pushing back the current of uncertainty threatening to take over his voice. "I don't know," Emily replied, her eyes wide with panic. "But if it's who I think it is, we need to run." Just as Emily turned to sprint away, Andrew caught a glimpse of the figure, a tall man clad in a dark jacket, his eyes gleaming with a mixture of recognition and malice. A chilling realization dawned on Andrew. It wasn't just Jack who was back. It was someone even darker, someone with a vendetta. "Emily!" the man yelled, his voice echoing through the trees, a sinister melody that sent a shock down Andrew's spine. "I've been looking for you." The two of them dashed through the park, the crunch of leaves beneath their feet mingling with the fast-paced thump of their hearts. "What is happening?" Andrew shouted, casting quick glances backward to see if they were being pursued. "It's Derek," Emily panted, urgency coloring her words. "He was part of the reason I left in the first place. I thought I was free." Her voice quivered, a mixture of regret and fear seeping through. "What does he want?" Andrew asked, trying to maintain a facade of composure while adrenaline surged through him. But instead of answering, she grabbed his hand tighter, the warmth of her grip surprisingly reassuring amidst the chaos. "I just need to get away from here. Please." Despite the terror spiraling around them, Andrew felt something shift within him. "You're not alone, he declared firmly, his resolve hardening. "We'll figure this out together." They navigated through the maze of trees, the chatter of park-goers fading into the distance as they found themselves on a narrow path leading away from the crowd. Breathing hard, Emily suddenly stopped, pulling him to a halt. "We shouldn't go too far. We need a place to hide and think," she said, desperation creeping into her voice. "Just around that corner, there's a cafe. We can go in, blend in, and plan," Andrew suggested, pointing with urgency. Emily nodded, but her face grew serious. "You don't know Derek. He won't just let this go. He'll find us." "Then we need to be smart," Andrew replied, urging her forward. Together, they turned the corner, and the small cafe appeared just ahead, its warm glow inviting yet precarious in their current state. Once inside, they quickly settled in a corner booth, both of them stealing glances at the entrance. Emily's trembling hands curled around her coffee cup, her expression a mix of exasperation and hope. "What do we do?" she whispered, feeling the weight of vulnerability settle around them. That moment, Andrew leaned closer. "We gather evidence. We talk to the police. If Derek's part of your past," he hesitated, "then we need to put a stop to it. You told me you faced worse." You can face him. Tears brimmed in her eyes, and for the first time, Andrew saw a flicker of determination ignite within her. You're right. This isn't just about running anymore. It's about standing up. The door swung open. Andrew's heart stopped, but it was merely a couple of patrons. Relief washed over him. They exhaled together, their breaths mingling in the air between them. You're stronger than you know, he said softly, meeting her gaze. Thank you for staying, she whispered, a hint of hope brightening her features. Just as they began to breathe easier, Andrew's phone buzzed on the table. He glanced down, his heart racing. It was Jake. A simple text, "Where are you?" "I'm getting worried." "Is everything okay?" Emily asked, concern clear in her voice. "I think we need to tell him everything. He deserves to know," Andrew replied, feeling the weight of his brother's unwavering support. "But more than that, he can help us." With a deep breath, Andrew typed back, "We're at the cafe on 5th. I'll explain everything. Just hurry." Hitting send felt monumental, a marker of the new path they were embarking on, one where she didn't have to face her past alone. Minutes passed, each one stretching like an eternity. Andrew's mind raced with possibilities, the uncertainty clenching at his gut, while Emily sipped her coffee, the warmth offering a semblance of calm amidst the storm. Finally, the door jingled, and Jake entered, his presence instantly reassuring. Relief flooded through Andrew as he caught sight of his brother. Their eyes locked, and in that moment, Andrew felt the barrier of regret begin to chip away. "Hey," Jake greeted, pulling up a chair without hesitation. "You okay? We may need your help," Andrew said, gesturing for Emily to explain, her story unfolding like a delicate flower breaking through asphalt. As she shared the truth of her past, Andrew felt the urgency of the moment, their shared history intertwining with an understanding of the importance of healing both their lives. It was more than facing Derek, it was about standing in the light, together, out of the darkness that had bound Emily for too long. "Stay close," Jake said when she paused, glancing around the cafe, ensuring that the shadow of Derek wouldn't slip through the door. "You're not alone in this." And it was then, amidst shared stories and mounting fear, that Andrew realized the importance of brotherhood, of friendship, and of love. It was about facing storms together, building your strength as a community, leaning on one another. "Whatever happens next, we'll figure out together," Andrew vowed. Emily smiled through her tears, the light of hope shining brighter than before. In that cafe, the three of them forged a bond out of vulnerability and strength, ready to confront the past, arms linked tightly. The shadows may linger, but together they were ready to step into the light, ready to reclaim their lives. He took Emily's hand, squeezing it, knowing full well a battle lay ahead. But for the first time in ages, he felt alive, poised to fight for the love he believed could still blossom from a fractured past. Love could conquer fear. Hope was the path forward. And together, they would reclaim what was rightfully theirs. Here's the call to action. You need to subscribe now. Don't wait, not even one more second, to show your support. Leave a like now to help the algorithm see the strength in stories like this. Comment your reactions below. How are you feeling after this emotional roller coaster? And share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this incredible transformation. Let us rally together, because true fans understand the power of connection, healing, and bravery.